Hello everyone, this is Andre at the Nomad Patrol, and as you can see behind me, this is my 2005 Nissan Patrol. I'll give you a quick rundown of the story of this car and how exactly I bought it, why it's here now, how it's looking at the moment compared to how it looked probably 2 and a bit years ago, and what this channel is about. It's kind of a new adventure for me, and I finally decided to pull the trigger and start something on my own. Right, so let's get back to the early days and how I've managed to make my dream reality. I've always liked 4x4s since I was a kid. Back when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, my dad used to have a Y60 long wheelbase Nissan Patrol, and I remember vaguely that car, but we have photos of me being very little and then the massive Patrol being next to me. And I guess that may be one of the triggers why I've always wanted one of my own. And when I started looking for one, I had a hot hatch, which it was a Renault Sport. It was quite quick and fun, modern, you know, all the great stuff, but a lot of the people at that point were judging me based on the stupid decision I was about to make, which is, why would you sell something that works, something that's reliable, something that's great, and buy a very old Nissan that's not the most reliable thing on planet? I've kind of sold my other car and decided to go on a hunt and find a facelift GU4. Now, anywhere else on the planet, that seems like, you know, quite easy. But in the UK, you'd be surprised by how few of these you can find for sale. Even now, if you go on Auto Trader, on Marketplace, eBay, maybe you find 10, if that. And I promise you that out of those 10 cars, probably 8 of them are really rusty. Not saying this wasn't, because I will attach some photos of how this was a few years back, and it was a total mess. And this is why I'd like to give my opinion on buying a used Nissan Patrol. It's a terrible idea if you don't know what you're doing, but it's a fantastic idea if you love cars and you can get around to it. And this was my biggest project ever, and it was the car that taught me the most. It was the car that basically stopped me being afraid of working on my own cars. As most people, I used to just take my car at any garage or garages I knew to get work done. But after I spent 2 years working on this, I don't think anything is harder than what I've done to this car. You know, maybe an engine rebuild, but if that decides to blow up, well, I guess we'll have to learn to do something new. Yeah, going back to my hunt, I've seen a total of 8 Nissan Patrols before I committed to buying this one. And that was spread across a few months because, as I mentioned, you just don't find them for sale. They're not easily available. You just can't commit to just going on Facebook and finding 5 in your local town. No, that's not like, you know, let's say a Land Rover Discovery 3 or 4 or 2, you know, where you can just find one. If you flip a coin, oh, there's one showing up. But with these, it's a completely different style of vehicle. It's a completely different color. And I don't know exactly why, but the GU4s are probably the rarest Nissan Patrols you can buy in the UK, unless it's a show wheelbase, which was never even imported in the UK. Anyway, long story short, found this one, funnily enough, 20 minutes from where I used to live. The guy didn't initially want to sell it. He just was asking the Facebook forums or groups, on the Facebook groups for the Nissan Patrols, what's the retail value of it nowadays? And I decided to just basically message the guy every single week to ask him if he's ready to sell it, because he was so close to me. And at that point I was kind of done with, you know, traveling an hour to view a car and, you know, just have a quick look underneath, and it was just rotten. So, not saying that they're quite expensive, but most Nissan Patrols of this age start from 7-8 grand and they just keep going up. I found this quite close to me, as I mentioned. The guy decided to finally sell it, bought it at a somewhat decent price. It was lower than the market value, but there was a lot of rust showing through. Hence, one of the reasons we negotiated was the rust, which at that point I thought it was not too bad. I was wrong. it was bad. It was very bad. It was really bad. Thinking back about it, would I spend the extra time looking for something that's a bit better? Yes, potentially. But at that point, I just didn't know all the issues that these cars can come with. I didn't know all the areas that they can rust. And at that point, I was quite new into working on my own car. I mean, I would do the odd brake pad change, but I wouldn't do something like I've just done on this. I think I drove it maybe 1,000 miles since the day I bought it till it came completely off the road. Why, you may ask? Well, I decided to chase rust. That chase of rust was initially that 2-week project, became quite quickly a 2-year project. And initially I wanted to give up kind of halfway through it. I didn't feel motivated, but then kind of that motivation came back through once I started seeing the progress, once I was looking back at old photos of the car and seeing exactly how it looked like and what it looks like now. And I was happy with the progress I was making. I was proud of myself, and that I managed to do something that most people would charge an arm and a leg for in a normal workshop. I think it's time for us to have a quick look under the car, and then we'll go from there. The chassis has been sandblasted. It's been epoxy primered, painted with Hammerite top coat, and then it's also been wax oiled with black wax oil to protect it from the salt that's on the UK roads. And in general, you know, that's a treatment you can apply on the car every year, every 2 years, depending on how often you want to use it. So this channel is mainly focused on the patrol. That's why we've got the Nomad Patrol. I want it to be more than that. I want it to be a place where we can have traveling vlogs, where we can have automotive content, where we can have a mini series of building this up, because this is not finished project. This is a long way to go from the final product. I'm still waiting to have time and funds to be able to finish this beauty right here. It's only been back on the road for about 2 months now. I think it was late September when this passed its MOT and was back running and driving after 2 years off the road. So it's still early days. It's still the beginning of what something could be. So to give you a brief rundown of the car, it's a normal 3-liter diesel. It's only got a few supporting mods, which is the Tilix valve, which is a boost controller, and a welded intercooler, and that's pretty much it. It's not tuned yet, maybe in the future. It's an automatic. Why did I not go for a 5-speed manual and I went for the quite old school 4-speed auto? Well, is this my dream build with this engine and gearbox? No. That would definitely be an M57 with a 6 or 8 HP. But for the time being, we'll have to do with the old school 3-liter ZA30, also known as the Grenade. Why? Because it blows up. This one is still doing well. It's on 168,000 miles, so hopefully it doesn't blow up in the next 5-10,000, because that would be very sad. But at the moment, she's doing well. It's got a 2-inch lift from Ironman. It's the Foam Cell Pro series, and most of the parts you see on the car have been purchased from OFM 4x4 UK, which has been more than fantastic with all the parts supplied. Anything that broke on it while I was doing the restoration, he was able to source for me. I'm quite happy with how the car looks at the moment, but it's still missing a lot of things. You might not see it, but there is a hole in the bumper, and that's for a winch. Do we have a winch yet? No. Is it missing a lot of things that I want to put on it? Yes. So maybe in the next 6 months it's gonna transform even more. Maybe this will do well and I'll be able to afford more shiny parts for the Patrol. But for the time being, I think I'm just gonna show you around the car quickly. I'll do a nice cinematic video, and then I think that's where we're gonna end it. And hopefully the next video will be an in-depth look inside the car, outside the car, and under the car, so you can see exactly what I've been doing for the past 2 years on it. It might sound a bit extensive when you think about 2 years. I didn't work on the car every day. I only worked on it when I had spare time or spare money. So it's not been 2 years going on constantly 5 days a week. No. It was maybe the odd weekend or where I could book some time off work, I would be working on the car. But yeah, thanks everyone for taking the time to watch the video, and hopefully you'll see a lot more of this.